personally, defund the BBC, not PBC, BBC. I'm down with it. Defund them. Get rid of the license. I'm down with it. The only way they could sway me is if we see this big time boxing to return to the BBC. Now, apparently they are broadcasting MATCHROOM cards on the radio. I haven't heard none, but I might go check it out the next time they do. I wonder who's going to get the gig to do live broadcasts on the radio, since Mike Costello is going to be the main announcer on the DAZN app. Eddie has a BBC podcast called No Passion, No Point. But Eddie is looking to expand their working relationship. So we now know Eddie has this 5-year deal with DAZN, a multi-million-pound agreement, which will see all of their boxing content made available on the streaming platform, and begins with the second season of Fight Camp. We'll see the likes of Conor Benn, Joshua Buatsi, Savannah Marshall, a world title fight between Kid Galahad and Jazza Dickens, and much more. Now, it might not be live boxing on the BBC, but it might be a next day highlight show on one of their channels as part of a deal. And it could go further than that. From what I've researched, Eddie is being a bit cautious, playing his cards to his chest. Now, Eddie didn't say there's an announcement going to be made about a deal with another broadcaster, but the general feeling is that it's going to be the BBC. This will also bring new subscribers to DAZN and have more eyes on MATCHROOM boxing. Now, this will be a much bigger deal than Sky because of the reach that the BBC have compared to Sky. This is terrestrial television. This is old school-ish. Trust me, delayed recordings in the past has worked with a British audience. Now, things has changed because I'm talking when there was maybe 3 to 5 channels of British television, and that was your lot, you know. But there's a lot more to compete with now. Now, before you get excited, if Anthony Joshua chooses to stay on Sky box office, you won't be seeing that on the BBC delayed recording. You won't be seeing that. But fights like the rematch between Warrington and Lara, that'd be great. That'd be great Sunday viewing. So they always say Audley is the reason why the BBC fell out of love with boxing and they parted ways around 2004. Hay was there until around 2005, and I think Carl Froch was as well. Eventually Hay and Froch ended up on Sky. Audley, he ended up on Sky too, actually, and with Box Nation. As British boxing had to start reshuffling from around 2004, ITV made a little comeback around then with Frank Warren and Amir Khan. Audley was on ITV with Frank Warren for a little while. Danny Williams. Froch actually had a couple of fights on ITV with Mick Hennessy. Won the world title with Pascal. But that's enough going down memory lane. Can the Beeb make a success with a return to boxing? Let's remember, they're not going to be live fights. They're going to be delayed recording. Will this be successful? Sunday evening boxing? What do you reckon? Like, what can we expect? Perhaps, like, you know, there might be a relatively big card on DAZN, and they might show the undercard on BBC, for instance, and if you want to see the rest, you know what you got to do. Sign up. Similar to what they do on YouTube. Now, I listened to the Boxing Social interview with Eddie Hearn, and according to Rob Tebbit, there is no UK broadcaster for Wilder and Fury 3. Now, I've seen a lot of fight posters, and BT is definitely on some of the fight posters. Now, some of them posters may not be official posters, because some people are good with Photoshop and whatnot, and they're good at duplicating or replicating a poster that looks official. I have to imagine that Rob Tebbit and Eddie know what they're talking about. They haven't been fed some misinformation. But if this is the case, what is happening here? They're saying Sky might bid for it. Is this Josh Taylor, Ramirez all over again? I mean, it was a rush job last minute before they got the fight website to broadcast it in the UK. And I don't even need to do any research to ask how poor them numbers did. Maybe they're not bothering because they know it's not going to sell, or maybe they just don't need the British money like that. I don't know. I might have to go listen to that part of the interview again, because I still can't believe that this is an actual reality, that Fury, the WBC champion, does not have a British broadcaster. And I'm not talking about fights, I'm talking about something more established like BT broadcasting his fight. Well, I tell you what, I hope some of you learnt your lesson with Michael Hunter, and I'm going to bring it up. And you can talk about the egg in my face right now. I've been talking up Martin BAKOLE that he's been the ducked and dodged man, haven't I? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Learn your lesson about boogie men or bogey men. Learn your lesson about them in modern day boxing. They don't exist. Billy Nelson has been jumping up and down on my Twitter for a couple of years now, and whenever he can get the mic, oh, they don't want to fight Martin, do they? They don't want to fight freezing Martin out. For a little while now, Billy. Now he gets the chance to fight that eliminator against HRGOVIC that Hunter shut down.
Trying to find someone to step in the ring with Filip HRGOVIC, and the latest one was Martin BAKOLE, you know, who we're trying to make a fight with now, who Billy Nelson, I think, came out and said, look, we wouldn't be ready for August, but ready for September. So we said, okay, look, that's disappointing, but let's go ahead. And now I'm being told he wants a warm-up fight.
Is Martin injured? I mean, Billy didn't say he was injured. Why isn't he prepared? He fought once last year, late last year. He fought, was it 3 or 4 times in 2019? His job as a professional boxer is to train and prepare for these fights. And he's not ready. He needs a warm-up fight. You're not ready for August. Why not? What you been doing? He fought once last year. Once. In December. So he's relatively inactive. But he should be ready. He should be ready. You're supposed to be the hungry, avoided guy who's ready to shoot sniper rifles from the rooftop at any time and take out your intended targets. But I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. HRGOVIC, he had 2 fights last year. But, you know, against no one really. He's not much more active than Martin. How comes he's ready? Is he this dangerous as some of you were saying, that BAKOLE and Hunter are just shook? I mean, BAKOLE and Hunter have fought already. Maybe they can fight again. And hopefully the winner gets enough courage to get in there with HRGOVIC. So who's next? He's fought from 240 to 270 plus. So maybe he's getting too comfortable up there in Scotland eating haggis. I don't know what you're doing there, Martin. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you need to take a leaf out of your brother's book. Maintain your weight. And it must have slipped me that the Sounders made an offer to fight BAKOLE earlier this year in February. I'm just seeing that here. Now, you know what I mean? So when I see Billy saying, oh, we'll take this fight and that fight, Billy, you're going to see my comment on the timeline. You're going to see my comment. Prince Charles Martin, I walk like a god on the earth. He's been doing a lot of talking. He's saying that Dylan is hiding behind Eddie Hearn's skirt, didn't he say? You're coming to America to fight a bum. Stop hiding. What? Like you hid from HRGOVIC this year? This was a straight eliminator to get the revenge you wanted so badly against AJ. He didn't show up. He didn't show up to fight HRGOVIC either. And I'm sure he had first refusal out of all the guys who have turned down the eliminator with HRGOVIC. Just turning down smoke. It's about energy. This is about energy and what you do with your energy. Now, I got hold of some of 78's interview with Malik Scott. This ain't no disrespect to 78 or Malik. But I heard half an hour of the video. And it could have been longer. Deontay is 3 weeks away from the most important fight of his life. And I have to ask myself, how much time did he spend talking about his energy between he and Deontay? They're going to approach the 3rd fight with Fury. Barely none. All the energy seemed to be focused on Chris Colbert, people disrespecting Deontay. And we don't fuck with that person and don't fuck with that person and don't disrespect us. Now, there's no problem if Malik went over to 78's channel to address some of the Chris Colbert and Boxing Voice fallout. But 5 to 10 minutes at the least and then move on. Why is Malik putting so much energy into this? I've never heard another coach in such a critical period of his fighter's career give away so much of his energy to a junior lightweight doing some interview on Fight Hype. It makes me wonder, is this fight for real? I mean, look at the way it came about. Is this comedy? How do I take Malik serious as a trainer? How do I take Wilder serious? Is Wilder giving this much energy to what happened with Chris Colbert? He must have done, because Malik must be in close contact with him, and for Malik to bring that energy to the interview, this must be the main agenda in the camp. Is being disrespected by people not even connected to the fight that he's got in 3 weeks' time. Let's bear in mind that Tay Jones, you know, I'm not going to say he threatened to kill Sugar Hill, but he was trying to come across as threatening to Sugar Hill. He was. They've called Sugar Hill an Uncle Tom. Sugar Hill's heard all type of accusations about his role in cheating. Tyson Fury, the guy he trained, how he cheated. He's been hearing this for over a year. Where's Sugar Hill's interview? Oh, these guys better not say that, and they better not say this, and they better not... Where's his interview like that? No. When Tay was talking like a little kid, to be honest, Tay, I mean, you're acting like a kid, trying to be threatening like that. Sugar Hill just kept calm. Just kept calm. Not one threatening word came out of his mouth. He didn't let the dialogue change him into something else. No. And this could be a sign that this is just a little too early for Malik. Not so much it's too early for Wilder. This could be just a little too early for Malik. You can't undo that energy. He didn't come online and say, okay, let's ham it up for the camera. Nah. This is the energy in the camp. This is what they're worried about. This is why they took the video down. It's bothering them. For how many years now? Juicy J. He's gay. He's ducking. He's an Uncle Tom. He's a coon. Whereas anybody in AJ's camp came out and acted out a character over what's been said? Name one occasion. Do you believe if AJ played into all this and gave it so much energy, he would be able to rebound from his loss like he's been able to? See, that's the thing. If you listen to Deontay Wilder fans, they still talk about the Ruiz loss. Like that alone defines AJ's career. And this is the problem with the immaturity. AJ's bounced back. Now he may lose again. He may even lose against Usyk. I don't think he will, but you never know. You don't know what's going to happen in that ring. He's bounced back. He doesn't give his energy away like that. Malik don't sound like a boxing coach. The boxing coach is the one who's supposed to keep it cool, while the boxer may be a little hot-headed. R.I.P. Pernell, Sweet Pea Whitaker, one of the best fighters I've ever seen. When he worked Zab Judah's corner against Kaiser Mabuza, Zab got floored in the 4th round, and he didn't believe it was a knockdown, or maybe he was vexed that he allowed himself to get clipped. And he was making a big deal of it as he went back to the corner. And Pernell said, what's that? Forget about that. Forget about that. And like, it was just great man management. Don't talk to me about this knockdown. Listen to me. Listen to me. Calm down. Yeah? We go back to this boxing and we're going to win this belt. And they did. And they did. Can Malik multitask from being a connoisseur of cigars and participating in a little soft porn and be a serious boxing trainer is the question. We'll soon find out. When I look at the two trainers, the only thing I know about Sugar Hill is boxing. Boxing. I don't know nothing else about the guy. Nothing else. All I'm saying right now is Malik's temperament doesn't look right for the job. It doesn't look right. Doesn't sound right, doesn't look right. Wilder, 3 weeks to go. If there's another press conference, I think Wilder needs to talk. He needs to talk. Win, lose or draw. So what the fuck if you lose? You need to talk. Show Fury that the loss hasn't changed you that dramatically. All you're showing Fury by not talking is that Fury has changed you. Involuntarily as well. Yeah? He's changed you. He's making you do things that you thought you'd never do. And Fury's just soaking this up, man. He's soaking it up.
So let's, if Deontay Wilder doesn't want to commit to this press conference, let's me take Deontay Wilder's part. So I'll play double character if you want.
Now, let's bear in mind that Evander Holyfield was an undisputed champion and so was Joe Louis. But what Wilder has in common with both of them is that they're all born in Alabama. And what Louis and Holyfield have in common was that emotionless, I'm not going to show you my problems. How the old school writers used to describe Joe Louis was the poker face. You hurt Joe Louis, he doesn't show out. Doesn't show you he's hurt. Outside the ring, you didn't see Joe have any emotional outbursts. Now, a lot of that was tailored by the circumstances that he had to fight under. You know, he was managed by a black man named John Roxborough, but they had to bring another manager on named Uncle Mike Jacobs. And, you know, we all know the story. He wasn't allowed to celebrate, especially if he beat a white opponent. When he spoke to the press, give very short monosyllabic answers, etc., etc. Don't be flashy and outspoken like Jack Johnson, basically. He had to be the antithesis of Jack. Wilder's never going to have that type of temperament. I accept that. But you got to rein it in a little. You have to rein it in. You got to let things go over your head. You got to take a philosophical view on things at times. Whatever Chris Colbert said shouldn't be stretched into this 6-part soap opera series. It really shouldn't. Especially so close to such a pivotal fight in the man's career. I picked Wilder to win the first fight. I picked Fury to win the second. And no, I'm not doing a Chris Colbert trying to stunt and make a comedy skit out of it. But I don't see the third going any different from the second. I really don't. Now, I've got Tank Davis's pay-per-view numbers here on Boxing News 24. According to Mike Coppinger, who else? 210, 215k. Now, Stephen Espinoza, Showtime, was saying that Tank's pay-per-view numbers are improving before these numbers came out. But the numbers I'm quoting here from the Santa Cruz fight is that he generated between 200,000 and 225,000 from the same source, Mike Coppinger. So when they're saying improving, how much? By a couple of thousand at the least? And obviously they're giving estimates here between 200,000 and 225 for the Santa Cruz fight. And they're giving estimates with the Barrios fight between 210 and 215. So, as I thought they would, it looks like they've tried to delay it a little to see if they can fudge the numbers. I know Mike Coppinger apparently works for ESPN now, but maybe this is the last favour he's done for the PBC. But regardless, these are not the numbers of a superstar like Leonard Ellerby has been proclaiming that Tank is. Now, some don't agree. I believe Leonard is underestimating how much the Americans know about boxing, telling us it doesn't matter if Tank fights Barrios or Josh Taylor. Lomachenko arguably fought a better opponent on the same night that Tank fought Barrios. And that wasn't on pay-per-view. That was just standard ESPN cable. In fact, their fights actually ran concurrently. I think as Lomachenko's fight was finishing, Tank's was just starting. I mean, Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, that wasn't pay-per-view. And this is what I'm saying. Leonard is underestimating the American boxing fan and their intelligence and their knowledge of the sport. A lot of them are saying, well, if I didn't pay for Lopez versus Lomachenko, why am I going to pay for Tank fighting this kid Barrios? They know Barrios can't hold a torch to Josh Taylor. Jose Ramirez would have sold more pay-per-views than Barrios. So what's the plan? Run him out there again against a subpar opponent to do 200,000 pay-per-view buys? This is a boxing star? Like who? From America. A boxing star like who? Oscar? Floyd? Holyfield? Tyson? Pacquiao? Canelo? Everybody knows it was a fake world title. Let's start there. Leonard and Floyd are too infatuated with this fake it till you make it thing for Tank. That works better for rappers, right? The mumble mouth kid who can't put a sentence together can develop a fan base and sell platinum or whatever. And everybody knows the game. They're never going to force him to battle or rap in the same circumference as the rapper who just ate two thesauruses and dictionaries, spitting multiple syllable flurries at the beat and killing it. They're not going to make him battle that kid. They're not going to put them on the same track to collab, and he's not under no pressure to rap like that kid either. As long as he does his little catchy songs, he's got his lane. He doesn't transfer over like that in boxing. Talking about Mikey Garcia and PROGRAIS, it's a decent fight, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how good Mikey is really after watching the performance against Spence. I really don't. I know PROGRAIS can fight. We saw that against Josh Taylor. Now, it's in the works. DAZN are working on it. The fight's going to be fought at 140. I think that's the best weight for both guys. I've got no desire to watch Mikey fight at 147. Not again. He did okay against Broner, but he's more or less the same size as Broner. And he didn't look that good against Jesse Vargas at 147. These are the opponents that Tank should be targeting. He should be targeting the winner of fights like these. Now, if you put Tank in against PROGRAIS, Mikey, or Josh Taylor at 140, and he doesn't do considerably more than 200,000, well, it tells us that American boxing and pay-per-view might will have came to a fork in the road, and I don't know where it goes from here. That's what it tells us. And maybe it tells us that Tank is not a star. Or maybe TMT and Golden Boy better get a move on and get Tank and Garcia to scrap it out and stop stalling it. I mean, Tank recently got a co-sign from Mike Tyson saying he's the greatest fighter out there right now, and he still couldn't do over 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Maybe they might have to put Tank in there with Tyson. You can kind of see why they don't want to gamble with a Josh Taylor fight, because, you know, you might get Tank's head punched in for 200,000 pay-per-view buys, and they might think, well, it's just not worth it. I'm not trying to gloat here, but it's Leonard who downgraded Josh's accomplishments as an undisputed champion, and for the last 2 weeks has been barking at everybody that Tank is a star, but the numbers seem to contradict them claims. Apparently, the TikTokers and YouTubers, Austin McBroom versus Bryce Hall, did a total of 136,000 pay-per-view buys. The organisers were hoping to get around 500,000, so a bit of a flop. Yep. And I'm not saying this is the last of the YouTuber, TikToker / C-list celebrity circuit. I'm not saying we've seen the last of the celebrity circuit, but I think the novelty is soon to wear off, and there's going to be maybe a few who will be able to maintain numbers for the foreseeable future. Maybe Jake and Logan and a KSI. Now, I'm not going to make a bold statement and say Anthony Yarde is going to go on to become a world beater. I hope he does. I believe he has the potential to at least become world champion. What I do like, though, is Tunde's, is the word humble, his humility in letting James Cook, someone a lot of you won't be familiar with. We're not talking Captain Cook either. Two different people. Not Captain James Cook, but the former British super middleweight champion, the former European super middleweight champion, the man who put the first L on Michael Watson's record. I would have talked to James Cook and I would have asked him about Conrad Oscar, one of his opponents, but I'm not going to reveal what the question is yet to you guys. But after taking a lot of criticism that he's not doing this right for Anthony Yarde and that right, he seems to have graciously accepted James Cook into the team as the next pair of eyes because of James's obvious experience in the game. You know, James found his stride late in his career, winning that European super middleweight title, and has got some good scalps on his record. Now, some of you will say, oh, well, look at the record, it's not that good. See, that's why it's hard to talk to a lot of people about boxing, you know. They didn't give James no easy fights. James went abroad and fought. Pierre-Frank Winterstein, always used to read about him in the boxing news. He was 51-1 when James beat him for the vacant European title in France on Winterstein's home patch. Guys like Sam Story, they were trying to build him up to be a prospect, the Irish lad. Sam Story also fought Eubank. Took a bit of a beating. The Mark Kaler victory at the York Hall. A lot of these fights he wasn't supposed to win. Tarmo Uziverta, that was another fight he wasn't supposed to win. You know, he's got scalps over Fidel Castro Smith, good fighter. Lost to Harold Graham, but who didn't? Fought the likes of Gracio Rocchigiani in Germany. James Cook was a technician, born in Jamaica, Peckham resident. Might sound a little antiquated to some of you, but back in the day, we were restricted to buying a boxing magazine once a week if you wanted boxing news, once a month for the American publications. But one thing I could guarantee, I could pick up that boxing news anytime. And if they were reporting on a James Cook fight, whether he won or he lost, there wasn't one of them journalists who would say James Cook couldn't fight because of his record. He runs the Pedro's Youth Club and Gym in Hackney. He has an MBE for his work in the community and done a lot of good work, you know, like Hackney, a little more gentrified than it used to be. And he's fought relentlessly to keep that club open, to keep the youth of the street for years. Since the infamous Murder Mile days and that front line on Sandringham. Don't fuck with Hackney, bro. Don't fuck with Hackney. And Tunde seems more relaxed, seems more mature, seems more focused, seems less inclined to try and silence the trolls online. Doesn't seem interested in that no more. After Yarde lost to Lyndon Arthur, there was talk of changes, and many were speculating whether Tunde would remain as a trainer for Yarde. I am of the opinion that jumping ship when it gets a little tough is sometimes a solution for the boxer. I'm not going to lie, because they have short careers. But sometimes you look at the situation and it's not all bad. Sometimes the team and the camp needs a few tweaks here and there. And maybe they might find they need to make a few more tweaks as it goes on. And on and on and on. Because when you stop learning is when you need to get out of boxing. I contrast that to Malik and his interview complaining about the haters. Like, gosh almighty. I mean, that wasn't a boxing trainer's interview. While Tunde, AJAYI, seems to be removing himself from such trivial issues. Congrats and keep it going. Wish Team Yarde much success.